Have you ever felt like being a good person, maybe even too good, is the very thing that's holding you back from really winning? It sounds totally backward, I know, but today we're going to dive into why that might actually be true.
Wow. I mean, this whole idea kicks off with this incredibly blunt statement. It really doesn't pull any punches, and it perfectly sets the stage for what we're about to unpack. What it really takes to win.
So, is that for real? In a world that so often seems to reward, ruthless ambition, do the good guys and gals really finish last? That's the big question we're here to explore.
Okay, so let's start with the core idea here, this warning about not being too good. The argument is that people who are just excessively nice are the ones who get taken advantage of, especially when things get competitive. And let's be honest, the world is a seriously competitive place. If you want to reach that elite top 1%, you're going to face what the source calls sikut-sikutan, which is this great Indonesian term that basically means elbowing each other. It's a reminder that success often means you have to do more than just be polite to cross the finish line. So, if just being nice all the time isn't the answer, then what is? Well, it turns out there's actually a psychological framework that helps explain why certain, let's call them darker personality traits, show up so often in the world's most successful people.
And that framework is called the dark triad. I know it sounds a little bit evil, but it comes from a well-known psychological study that found these 3 specific traits are surprisingly common among people who rise all the way to the top.
First on the list is narcissism. Now, we're not talking about a clinical disorder here, but a personality trait. It's that unshakeable, almost unreasonable belief that you are the best, even when everyone else around you is telling you you're not.
The second one is psychopathy. And again, let's be super clear, we're not talking about the movie villain version. The source describes it as a trait, an antisocial tendency. It's this powerful ability to just not care what other people think, especially if it gets in the way of your goal. It's that raw, I don't give a attitude, but used as a tool for success. And the third part of this triad is Machiavellianism. This one is all about the desire for power, for control, and a very strategic willingness to do whatever it takes to win, even if that means you have to manipulate situations or people to get what you want.
Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Narcissism, psychopathy, these traits sound pretty terrible, right? But this is where the whole conversation flips on its head. The point isn't to become a bad person. It's about understanding the hidden, powerful, and believe it or not, positive side of these so-called bad traits.
And boom, here it is. This is the big aha moment. This is how we reframe the whole thing. Suddenly, narcissism isn't just arrogance, it's the bedrock of incredible confidence. Psychopathy isn't just being cold, it's a tool for laser-like focus. And Machiavellianism isn't just manipulation, it's the engine that drives powerful ambition.
Just think about how this actually works. That confidence, born from a narcissistic trait, is what lets leaders make huge, bold decisions and be charismatic enough to get everyone to follow them. The ambition, from Machiavellianism, is what fuels that strategic mind, always calculating the risks and rewards. And that focus, from psychopathy, that's what makes you resilient. It lets you bounce back from failure and completely ignore the haters.
So that's the theory. But how do these reframed traits actually show up in the real world? How do they become the actual key to winning?
Well, because the simple reality is, in business, in your career, and especially in things like investing, life is a competition. And these 3 traits, confidence, ambition, and focus, aren't just personality quirks. They are the essential tools that top performers use to get that winning edge.
I mean, you can see it everywhere. Think about someone like Steve Jobs. He was famous for being a narcissist, but that exact same trait gave him the insane confidence to build an empire. Or look at the most successful traders in crazy markets like crypto. The ones who really win big have an incredible tolerance for risk, a super sharp mind for calculation, and a level of focus that can seem almost ruthless.
All right, let's bring this all home. After all that, what is the ultimate point? What are we supposed to take away from this?
And this right here is the most important part, so listen up. The goal is absolutely not to become a bad person. The goal is to learn the positive aspects of these traits, that confidence, that focus, that ambition, so that you're ready and able to compete when you have to.
You can really see the difference when you put them side by side. The too good mindset, it's passive, it's scared of taking risks, it's always looking for approval, and it doesn't fight for itself. But the ready-to-compete mindset, that's active. It's self-assured, it makes bold, calculated moves, and it is relentlessly focused on its own goals. Because when you fall into that
too good trap, that's where you get things like imposter syndrome, that feeling that you're a fraud even when you're succeeding. You become too humble to actually sell yourself and your ideas. You get satisfied too easily. And worst of all, you let what other people think completely control your actions.
So let's wrap this up. The key here isn't to be bad. It's to be capable. It's about building up that confidence, that ambition, and that focus so that you can be a good person who also knows how to win. A good person who simply refuses to get trampled on their way to the top.
And that brings us to the final thought, a question for you to take with you long after this is over. Take a good, honest look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you a good person, or are you maybe just a little too good for your own good?